Yeah, and I think perhaps what might be helpful is just to take a step back on generally sort of long-acting dosing systems, for contraception, but also other conditions. And, my lab really focuses on developing systems to make it easier for people to receive medication. And in that general sort of area or vein, we've been looking at a whole range of different ways that we may be able to help people. And one of them involves injectables. Now, when we think about injectable systems, one of the challenges with injectable systems or long-acting sort of depots or essentially drug containers is that they often either require a surgical procedure for implantation or a big needle. And so one of the things that we honed in on and focused on was really thinking about how we might be able to make it possible to have a very small needle that can essentially serve as the conduit to deliver a long-acting depot. And, we looked at this in the context of contraception, but also I should add that this platform can be applied for several other conditions, including infectious diseases and also neuropsychiatric conditions, among others. And so in the context of contraception, today we have solutions that, for example, can help women receive contraceptives daily, even every 3 months. There are intrauterine devices that can work for 3 to 5 years. And so our focus was more on having solutions that could help support 6 months or even longer through a small needle. And I think it's important also to appreciate that small needles essentially also enable self-administration, because usually the bigger needles or surgical implantation require a trained procedure to have those play. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of the background context and like how we think about it, and then also some of the specifics on contraception. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I would say that the fact that it is small is really important. The other thing is that through that small needle, essentially we're injecting a liquid or a liquid suspension, and then inside of the body we have a solid, essentially you could say like a mini tablet that will form relatively quickly. And because it's a solid, it allows us to then retrieve it if we have to. So if there's a reason, for example, whether it's an adverse effect, for example, or a woman is looking to return to her fertility, let's say sooner than the end of, let's say, that course of treatment, that's certainly possible. So those are some of the advantages. I think the other advantages relate to what I was saying before, and that this is a platform that can be applied more broadly to other conditions as well, or other medications, I should say, in addition to contraceptives. Absolutely, no, great question. So viscosity essentially informs how much force is required to inject through a needle. And so I'll give you an example. If you're trying to essentially force maple syrup versus water through a team, then through a needle, a thin needle, it'll be much harder to inject that liquid syrup as opposed to the water, right? And so the viscosity is important in enabling the injection through a thin needle. So some of the things that we're exploring are really applications to other medications, really to broaden the applicability of the platform to help people with other conditions, whether it's individuals that are suffering from certain infectious diseases like tuberculosis or HIV, or folks that are suffering from neuropsychiatric conditions like schizophrenia or bipolar disease. I think one of the critical things that I think is always important to reflect on in these kinds of studies is that this is a huge team effort. We have experts that really span many areas from material science to pharmaceutical sciences. There's mechanical engineers, there are physicians, veterinarians, really all working together on these challenges. And so I think that's really important. We have the three sort of first authors here, Vivian Feig, Sang-Hyun Park, and Pepe are all incredible scientists with diverse backgrounds that really came together around this effort together with the rest of the team. So I think that's always important to appreciate on the value of sort of working together across different areas to sort of bear on these major challenges.